movies, music, story times, all kinds of shit for you. Everything goes if it's house and out from Copyland.
Oh my.
You know how, I don't know if you've done it, I don't know if you've had this, but you know, like when there's something that you would think that you would never enjoy, but then you end up really enjoying it, and it becomes like one of the weirdest, funnest days of your life.
Yeah.
I had one of those once.
Just once?
Yeah, just once. I tried to replicate it, and it was like chasing that mad Wendy's dragon, dude. You go back the second time, it's like mad dookie. So this was weird. It was one of the few times my mom went to like a PTA thing, which if you think about that, it's mind blowing.
Yeah, our mom doesn't do shit like that.
Who does that?
Ever. Mad Mexican.
I feel like that's a white person thing, right?
Yeah,
or anybody who's not Mexican.
It's white moms and dads will go to PTA because they care about their kids.
Yeah.
Mexican moms give zero shits about the PTA. It's not that they don't care about the kids. It's that they're like, fuck that PTA shit.
Wizard.
He better do it right or I'm gonna slap his fucking face. You know? And then the ones that go, like if there's Mexican or Mexican Americans parents that go to the PTA meetings, they're mad trying to be white. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like they act more Anglo than Mexican.
Yeah, it's true.
There's an ulterior motive there.
So what I think actually happened was I don't think she knew it was a PTA. I think she thought it was like a
requisite meeting.
Yeah, like a you have to go meeting. So anyway, we went and it was like this. All the kids were outside, right? Because they weren't allowed.
Right.
So it was like this. Like it was, they were in the cafeteria, and I know you know how this looks, but it was kind of like this circular area where it was just kind of seats in front of the cafeteria, and people were just hanging out there. Now, keep in mind, I've always been kind of a weird, awkward child.
Yeah.
So I never really had friends, or like many friends, you know, and it just happened to be that my few friends weren't there that time, so I was just kind of hanging out. But weirdly, people were like, I guess because it was out of school, so they didn't have to pretend to be cool or whatever. They were actually pretty friendly, and so we were kind of like talking and shit.
Also, their parents were right there, so
they acted like dick bags. So they
were
weren't like mad wedging me like always. Never got a wedgie, unless you count self-inflicted ones by just sitting. Cause I'm mad fat. so anyway, somehow this weird hanging out suddenly turned into a rock war. An epic rock war, which I can't even explain how epic this was. There was at least like 50 kids flinging rocks at each other, and on paper this sounds like the worst thing ever. Like why would you do that?
It does that?
Especially me.
Yeah.
I just want to sit in the corner and fart. That's what fat guys do, right? But weirdly enough, I was mad into this shit, dude. I was like King Theoden, dude. I was like. Freaking Saruman was busting down my gates, and I was just like, "Bring it on, baby!" I got so into it that I was straight Tony Starking, creating freaking new weaponry for it.
What?
I created like this half cut water bottle. It was cut down the middle, and I filled it with rocks. So when you threw it, it like shot out like these little Jericho missiles of freaking rocks on people. Mad hit several fools with those. Anyway, this went on for like a couple hours, and we were just mad rocking each other like to death. And I remember when it ended. Well, wasn't there at the end of the war, but when the people started leaving, basically, Mom was like, "Yo, let's go. What the hell you doing, fool?" And I was super sad, dude. I didn't want to leave the war. This is completely unexpected for me, but
I'm agog.
So
I'm not a social being.
I'm not. So I remember the several people who were the two armies, if you will, that were there, wanted to recreate this after school one day.
Oh, you can't.
And I was like, hell yeah, let's do that shit. This shit was fun.
Can't capture the magic again.
It mad sucked, dude. It was one of the It went from one of the weirdest, funnest days of my life to literally one of the shittiest things where I was just getting mad hit with rocks. There was no fun involved, so it was just painful and it sucked. And everybody just left after a while. It sucked, dude.
You know, I had a similar experience in junior high. You have your general group of friends or whatever that you fuck with. And I had my little group, but there was this transient guy. They called him Buffy back then. Now, this was pre-Buffy the Vampire Slayer, so I can only imagine it was because he was fucking built like a damn mountain.
Yeah.
Mega buff, the guy. For a kid, this kid was mega buff. But anyway, Buffy was kind of like this tough dude, right? He was a fairly likable guy. But he was incredibly aggressive at times, right? But anyway, he was like this transient guy that would go from group to group, a la the Guardian, our former compatriot. And he would drop by it was always towards like the last half of lunchtime, which, by the way, when I was a kid seemed eternal, but clearly was just like maybe 30 minutes.
That's weird, huh?
Yeah. But anyway, he would drop by, and inevitably, it would always end up in the same fucking ritual between me and him. Okay, so he would drop. Now, I've always been a fairly imposing guy. I've not been small ever, I think. Mm-hmm. Maybe when I was a fetus.
I don't know, dude. I heard you were a mad big fetus.
Beatus, if you will. Ironic. Anyway.
Got it.
So, I've always been a large guy, and Buffy was a large guy. Freak of nature, if you will. So he decided that we two should engage in friendly combat every lunchtime.
Okay.
The first time, it was a blast. I'll even say the first week of times, it was fun. The first time definitely was the best. And it was like, all right, this is cool because I could hold my ground against him. And this degenerated quickly, by the way. Combat went from, pseudo wrestling style holds.
Sumo like diapers involved.
There was no diapers, thankfully. No, but it was like holds. Yeah. When you invert the hands like that, it was all that, and whoever gave up was the loser. And boy, did we not want to give up, both of us, right? And that all went away, though. What ended up only happening forever, it seemed, was this. I might be partially concussed because of this.
Permanently?
It literally was us going to opposite ends of this playground area, which was fairly large. Not the entire playground, but this area. And running at full speed towards us and just colliding into each other. And doing it over and over until someone gave up. Or fell and passed out.
God.
I'm just going to say that I passed out at least a handful of times, and he did too. And we would do this every fucking day, to the point where it was clear that neither of us was enjoying it. Yeah. But to give up would be to ultimately lose. So neither of us wanted to lose. So we just did it, man, and it sucked. Fucking hard, man. It was the worst. It was just shit. I hated every second of it.
How long does it go on?
A whole 7th and 8th grade year.
Damn, homie.
Yeah. It was not good. I was glad when he started to hang out with the little burgeoning metal crowd. When you start to get into little cliques and stuff. There was a little metal crowd that started to, and I liked metal, but I didn't like a lot of those people. But he was just like, oh, these are people that like metal. So he started showing up less and less, and eventually it tapered away. Although
you won?
Well, hold on. One time I feared that the worlds would collide en masse, because one time that he dropped by for the contest, as it were, he brought his metal group with him.
Oh no.
And we were all there, and they were all watching. Everybody was watching. And I was like, no, this is my future. Condemned to repeat this shit in front of everybody like a fucking clown. Hated it.
So what happened?
Eventually it just tapered off, and one day it just stopped happening.
So who won?
I wouldn't say any of us won, man.
Everyone lost?
We both definitely lost.
Damn, homie.
Yeah.
Why?
I guess at the game of life he won because he's, not me. But in terms of the contest, it just kind of tapered off, I will say this. One time we tried to break the tedium and agony of it by trying something else. And I don't know if you've ever done this. You know that thing where you hold your breath and they press against your chest and you black out?
No.
No, you never
What
done.
the hell,
Like,
man?
yeah, you do this.
I thought I was done throwing rocks at people.
You do this, right?
Uh-huh.
And then you take, I forgot how many deep breaths. This is like a little kid playground thing.
Yeah.
It's been a long time. And or the black spots in my brain have made me forget the details.
You got the smooth brain?
Yeah. But you hold your breath after taking certain deep breaths. I think there's a bend over at one point, and then you get up. Anyway, the point is you hold your breath and do this, and they press against your chest, right? And you black out with lack of oxygen, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we decided that this would be better because clearly both of us hated ramming into each other. Somebody suggested we should do this instead. And we were like, yeah.
Ooh, was there an audience?
Yeah, there was always an audience.
Damn, homie.
So we were not only doing this for personal pride, but because we had to save face in front of the people. It was like the shitty fucking Coliseum.
Shitty gladiators?
Yeah, man. It was shitty. Yeah, hashtag shitty gladiators, man. So
Always
anyway.
a thumbs down.
Mega thumbs. Super down. And this is not even before. The game hasn't even started.
This is going to suck, dude. I've seen this like 100 times.
But yes, it was this dude. Man, what was his name? He had a shitty nickname. It's going to bother me. Anyway, whatever. Oh no, he didn't have a shitty nickname. He just had the name Xavier with an X, which I hate.
Yeah, I had a Xavier too, and they had the X. And
yeah,
I
don't do that.
Like, who does that, man?
Yeah, unless you're bald and in a wheelchair that floats.
Yeah, or Michael Jackson.
Or yeah,
watch
apparently.
that video.
Then don't do that. But anyway, Xavier was like, hey, you guys have done this. Whoever knocks out the quickest is the loser. And to be fair, I knocked out... Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't knock out the quickest. He did. But I don't know if it was my OCD or paranoia type anxiety side of my mind. But I almost felt like after I did that, like I didn't think as straight as I used to and shit like that. Or maybe something did happen. I don't know. But we did it several fucking times. And it was not fun. One time we did it and they couldn't wake me up. So they just left me out there. Right?
It was like me with my back broken.
Yeah. So my algebra teacher ended up going out there and like I literally just remember waking up to her slapping me, not hard, but slapping me in the face, calling my name, and everything just kind of coming into sharp focus again. And I was like, what the fuck? And then I found out later that they were like, damn, we can't get him up. You know what I'm saying?
Damn, homie, you're dead.
Yeah. Now, that happened with him also. We couldn't get him up one time. But I didn't fucking abandon the fool. You know what I'm saying? I actually dragged him.
You didn't throw him in a channel.
Yeah, exactly. I dragged him to the door, which wasn't that far off. It wasn't a feat of strength or anything. I had a really hard time. I dragged him to the door and I opened it. And thankfully, it was a teacher passing by. And I was like, help over here, right?
Told me dead.
And anyway, then something happened. It's not much, but it's better than just leaving the guy there, Anyway, did not have fun doing that, but we did it for about 2 school years.
Does that?
I don't know, man. And there was always like some weird competition between me and him, and there was never malicious. It was never, there was never any ill feelings between us. It was always like a physical competition.
Yeah.
I don't know why or how this started. My only guess is that we were both large, imposing dudes, and he felt this is the way to establish myself or
you
whatever.
Went to the primal zone?
I guess, man.
Did you ever fling fees?
That would have been more fun than that shit.
That's a good point, man. Remember that time I told people to watch a Men in Black credit sequence? That was the thing. Anyway, I remember this one time. I still do. I don't like heights.
Yeah.